Okay, so this is a small guide to getting started with the ODM on Mushroom Gorge. So the idea of ODM heavily relies on TF physics, which is the act of takes TF Schumels, for example, the lake cut. You're going to be drifting full right, and then as soon as you leave the bump, you start holding full left, and you gain height because the bike's rotation, like the left side of the bike, is pointed towards the air, so you'll get left momentum relative to the vehicle, but upward momentum in relation to the track. So MGODM heavily relies on that, and we use that to gain height and speed in order to do crazy shit in the cavern. So TF physics works slightly differently with outward drifting bikes. So let's take the gap cut for example, which is a perfect place to begin practicing this. You want to get really comfortable with TF physics with an outward drifting vehicle. You want to be drifting full left, and as soon as you leave the grass and you're in midair, you want to go from holding full left to upright. Upright makes it slightly easier, and more importantly, you want to release your drift as soon as you leave the ground. Full left, upright, release the drift. Full left, upright, release the drift. Full left, upright, release the drift. You're making the gap cut 10,000% of the time with this. And that's how TF physics work with an outward drifting vehicle. Quickly, I'm going to demonstrate the problem of holding your drift accidentally while doing the gap jump. You'll very quickly see here that releasing the drift is very, very important. Upright, but I held my drifts and I did not... I just lost speed there. I did not gain the correct amount of speed or height to clear the gap over here. Just remember, hold left, upright, release the drift. And that's it. That is pretty much all I need to know about TF physics with outward drifting bikes. So I'm using MKW SP service pack to practice a lot of this, and I strongly recommend that you do as well. And if you're using this before continuing on, make sure to go to settings, go to HUD 2 out of 2, make sure the speedometer is switched from internal to XZ. ODM is reliant on external velocity, sideways momentum, and this doesn't show properly on internal velocity. Internal velocity on mushrooms is locked to 73 kilometers an hour, but your external velocity remains uncapped, remains at the normal cap of 120. Okay, so when you go off of a boost ramp like this normally, your speed will generally be around like 71 to 73. When you're drifting sideways and you use the techniques that I was talking about for the gap jump, TF physics, you can get that up easily another 10 kilometers. So I'll demonstrate that here. I'm going to be drifting full left. I'm going to be essentially almost sideways to the left when I go off of this boost ramp. I'm going to go off the boost ramp, and as soon as I leave the boost ramp, I'm going to be releasing drift and holding upright just as we did with the gap jump. Sideways, you can see that my speed, external speed, is 82 rather than 72 or 73 when I leave the boost ramp. 83, 83, or 82 rather. So I'm going faster off of the ramp because of sideways momentum. Now this by itself is not enough to get to the green mushroom, which is our goal. That's our goal, to get to the green mushroom. And now here's where I explain the big monster of gaining speed off of the mushroom. So what's going on? Yeah, it's time to talk about that. So I'm gonna have you instead hold your drift going off this boost ramp until the first mushroom for this example. So it turns out when you are holding a drift and you release it a couple of like a frame or two after hitting the mushroom, you actually gain speed off of the mushroom. And this is the bread and butter to ODM. Instead of releasing the mini turbo going off of the boost ramp, I want you to keep holding your drift just for this example, just to understand the timing that's involved in it. So just as a test case, you can see that like I'm not really gaining much speed. You can see like test case, you're getting up to like 72, just holding the drift the entire way. I want you to hold your drift and release it a frame or two after hitting the mushroom. Here it is, full sideways. You can see that my speed jumped from 72 to 86, which is a huge difference. And that's how we're able to gain astronomical amounts of speed off of the mushroom. So how do you want to do this? Because you're releasing your drift as soon as you leave the boost panel, because of getting speed there. What you actually want to do is when you leave the boost ramp, you're going to be holding up left or up right, currently releasing your drift. At some point in the middle of the air, you want to go from holding up right to up left and initiate another drift and then go back to holding up right. This is pretty much the technique that we're able to use to gain speed. Sideways with the boost panel. Sideways with the boost panel, release. And then you can see that you're getting up to like 86. Alright. You can see that you're getting up to like 88 or something kilometers an hour. So the timing is a little hard, but when you release the mini turbo, you'll be able to get up to like 89, 90 kilometers an hour pretty easily. So you want to get really comfortable with that. You want to get really comfortable with that sort of like movement of initiating a counter drift in midair and then releasing it as soon as you go off the mushroom. But you can see still that that's not enough to get to the green mushroom, right? Like you're barely missing it. So I'll be talking about the inputs after the first mushroom bounce to get to the green mushroom. So when you bounce off of the first mushroom, you want to be holding, you want to go from up right to just full right before you leave the first mushroom. So I'll demonstrate that right here. Yeah, you can see I'm holding, I start to hold full right, right before leaving the mushroom. That's the first input that I want you to modify there. Secondly, when you're in the middle of the air, after leaving the first mushroom, you want to switch from holding full right, you're holding full right at that point, to full left for a little bit. Full left or down left. I find down left to be a little bit easier, and it's what I personally do. Honestly, I suck at explaining this. It's just something that you have to do. You'll see that, like, the most helpful part of learning shit is to literally just study inputs. That's what I did for a lot of my journey first starting out. At the point where I started learning, I believe there was 4 people on Worldwide Tops with ODB, and I studied their inputs and tried to just copy them, get them down, everything like that. I can't express enough how useful it is to study runs with input displays and sort of like mimic their inputs or try to adapt it to your own. So anyway, when you leave the mushroom, you'll be holding full right instead of upright. You'll be holding full right, and then in midair, around like the middle-ish of getting to the green mushroom, you want to be holding, you want to switch from holding full right to full left or down left. Again, down left I find easier. And it should end up something like this. You want to end up tricking as well off of the mushroom. One thing to note as well, shortly before you land on the green mushroom, you want to be switching to holding upright, full right. And you can see, like, I'm making it to the green mushroom now. That finishes the puzzle right there. So that is essentially how to sort of get to the green mushroom almost every time. There is a steep learning curve. I believe the first day that I tried doing this, I was practicing for like 7 or 8 hours, I think, and I only got to the green mushroom 4 times in total that first day or second day, I'm not sure. I only got to the green mushroom 4 times total in 8 hours. 7 or 8 hours. So it's a steep learning curve, but you're going to get there. You're going to get there. Again, here's what that finished, here's what that should look like. When you get the hang of it. When you get the hang of it, you'll be landing on the green mushroom every time if you do everything correctly. I really think that's all I need to explain here. The rest of your Mushroom Gorge learning journey will be essentially just studying inputs, trying to understand what's happening yourself, trying to replicate them yourself, and getting help from others in the community as well. When I was starting out learning Mushroom Gorge, I was always in VC screen sharing, and by some stroke of luck, 2 active ODB players were always in VC as well. So I got tips. I got little tips and tricks all along the way, and I would never be as close to where I am without the help from the community, individual tips, and sharing my progress, getting help from others. So yeah, I think that's all I need to I think that's all I need to go through today. Happy ODBing, and wish everyone luck in their ODB journey, learning everything.